You will now be arrested in Germany if you burn the European Union flag. And the French government are going to block any future referendum on the membership of the EU. Hello everyone and welcome to today's vlog. I'm actually hanging around Marble Arch today. It's kind of busy. Not as busy as I expected. The weather's really good, but I guess people are still working from home, so it's only like early afternoon right now. So the European Union are crossing the line, and the German government, basically in Germany, if you now burn the European Union flag, like one of these, well, these are actual real flags, but the European Union flag, one of those fake flags, you'll be arrested and you'll go to jail. I know, it's a crime. So this is a absolute crazy thing that the German parliament have decided to approve, and the German people, obviously they're going to be kicking off a lot of them because not everybody in Germany is pro-EU. But before we continue, I want to give a special shout out to one of our supporters, Duncan. It's Duncan's last day of chemo today, but it's also his daughter's birthday, Kate. It's her 30th birthday, so happy birthday, Kate. But also Duncan, best of luck with the treatment. I hope you recover soon. Now, let's continue. Now, my view on this whole flag issue is very simple. Firstly, as a freedom lover myself, I still believe in, obviously, borders and flags, and you have to respect them. As long as the flag is a real flag, not the EU flag. Secondly, whilst you respect the flag, I actually have no problem with people's freedoms and liberty to be able to burn a flag if they want to. It's a very bad thing to do, and it should be discouraged, but in a free society, in a free country, you should be able to do it. But that only applies to real flags. The European Union flag is not even a real flag, so burn it all, I don't care. So if you're in Germany watching this, I mean, I'm not going to actually encourage you to do it to go to jail. Don't do that. But if you're in a different country and you still have the freedom to do it because it's not a real flag. Now, you know how a few minutes ago I said that there's no one actually out in London? Well, I was wrong, because they weren't really near Marble Arch. They were actually in Hyde Park. And so obviously we have the new government guidelines, which is you're now allowed to sit in a park. So there's a lot of big groups sitting. But as we've said before, people are still socially distancing from each other, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with coming to the park, relaxing, have a picnic, as long as you're avoiding everybody else. Now, my message to the German government is that the 1930s called and they want their policy back. In 21st century, are you kidding me with this? But it's not really just Germany and the German government going against not just common sense, but freedoms. So the French government, Macron and his gang, are now signaling that we will block any future referendums on the membership of the EU, no matter how much you demand. Like the French citizens, no matter how much they go out there, shout and scream, not going to change. What was that? So anyway, that's not going to change the French government's decision. So that's going to be fun. This is not the first time. We've just had a confession from a former French president. Back in 2009, he actually said that any referendum should be resisted. So this is not a new line. This has been going around in the French establishment for a long time. It's just been known now. Although I must admit, it's an absolutely beautiful and gorgeous day in London and Hyde Park. This is also my favorite part of Hyde Park, because if you get to this point, you don't actually feel like you're in the city anymore, because you don't really see or hear any cars or anything, so it kind of feels like you're in the countryside. It's just the only part that we have in central London that looks like this. Now, if the French government were smart enough, they would know that you cannot push this sort of mentality for too long. You can't go against democracy and the will of the people in general. So there will come a time when the centrists will stop winning, and there will come a time when you're going to have the populist right get into government, and then good luck stopping this wave and movement. It's best to contain this situation now. This is why when the UK government decided to actually give us the referendum, at the time everybody criticised David Cameron, but actually it was the perfect timing, because if he had continued to block the idea of a referendum, it would have eventually imploded in a bad way. Also, this obsession with keeping this European solidarity within the EU is also idiotic, because firstly, it's not been real. We've seen we've heard in the news recently that with the whole PPE issues, countries in Europe are stealing PPE from each other. What happened to this cooperation that everyone talks about? It doesn't actually exist, does it? So every country is like going their own way. They don't really listen to Ursula von der Leyen or her European Commission. So how are you going to keep this, not just economically with the Eurozone, but this idea of a European family? Because it's not going to last too long. Now, this whole thing is also affecting the Brexit trade talks, and I'm sure you've seen if you haven't seen the news show today at 5:45 p.m. on my channel, then after this go on the channel and watch that video, because we're talking about how the trade talks have hit a roadblock, and Boris Johnson's government are now actually preparing for WTO. The massive problem is that we now have top economists saying that extension is definitely not going to happen. Boris Johnson is definitely not going to be able to even request or approve it, because firstly, it's going to damage the current negotiations with America, South Korea, all the other countries. Secondly, democratically, the electorate will completely destroy Boris Johnson if he does that. So it's not even an issue to debate. I've been walking for ages, so I'm going to have a quick sit down here. The other thing I was going to actually get your opinion on, you guys, is as much as I love London, I've always been a Londoner, I'm now thinking of moving out, because I'm thinking of getting my own place on my own without sharing with anyone. I can't really afford being in London doing that. So been considering some places. One of them is Brighton, because it's still kind of easy and quick to get to London, and the prices are actually not too bad. But I don't really know anyone. So if any of you is from Brighton or live in Brighton, could vouch for the city, then send me a message on Twitter, and then we could actually talk about that, because it would be good to get your opinion if Brighton is good or bad. Now, to finish covering this whole European Union issue today, the one big problem for these guys is that from day one, the structure, the whole idea of the project was bad and wrong, because in the name of defeating the communist side and the actual hardcore socialists, they created this European club. And what happened at the end was that their globalist agenda accidentally or unintentionally duplicated the socialist ideology. So they're doing the exact same thing as socialists would do, because they've centralized every decision now, and that was their problem, because they were criticizing the Soviet Union, saying that, oh well, we should oppose this idea of centralization. So the solution is the European Union. So what they've done is, for example, the European Central Bank, the ECB, is one of the most idiotic things, and this is exactly the whole problem with the world, because the world order that we're living in is it's based on everything to be bureaucratically centralized, and the central banks as a whole is a bad idea. The European Central Bank specifically doesn't work, and there's been a lot of articles recently about this, and how it's a mythical structure. It won't last too long, and it should definitely respect different countries and cultures, situations, but also requirements, because what's good for Germany is not necessarily good for Poland or Czech Republic. And so monetarily wise, and in terms of their currency, well, their fake monopoly currency, euro, they definitely need to somehow get rid of it. But the problem is they've created this monster. I don't think it's going to be easy for them to reverse their decision and go back to their normal currencies that the countries had, unless the whole thing collapses, and that is going to create a bad recession. And it's just a kind of bad timing, because we're already going through this financial crisis at this point globally, and especially in Europe. It's no longer a recession, it's actually a depression now. And if the Eurozone collapses anytime in the next few years, it's going to turn Europe into some sort of poverty third world. So good luck with that, guys. Right, I've been walking for ages now, so I'm actually going to go get ready for dinner, but also edit today's videos, otherwise I'm going to be late. But for the members of the channel, tomorrow or Sunday I'm going to post on the community page for you guys to post your questions, the weekly questions for the live Q&A. So if you're not a member and you want to have access to that and also other stuff that we do and support the channel, then check out the link in the description, or just go on your browser and type in youtube.com/shoutout, youtube.com/myo2c/join. You might also be able to see the join button next to subscribe on the channel. Do that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.